Welcome to you, Charles. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
I never sought out to be a public servant. I just wanted to fight for my family. There were things that I saw, and I still live on my childhood block. So I'm on 35th Market to this day. And there were so many things I saw growing up that hurt me, but also inspired me to want to be better, to want to do better, to be a voice for the types of changes I felt like my community and my family, which you all are my family, that we deserve. And after bugging enough people and making enough noise, you just sort of organically find your way into the halls of government because that is one of the central spaces where decisions are made that shape our lives. And so if you're pushing for change long enough, you're going to bump into government. It's just unavoidable. And that's what happened to me. And once I got into space, I'm like, oh, well, shoot, I need to be in here. I need to get to work in here. And so I haven't looked back, and I've been causing good trouble in every single office I've been in.
So you're doing that work, and you also have your organization, Hood to the Holler, which is building bridges. And I would love for you to talk about some of the initiatives, some of the work that organization is doing, and maybe even tell us a little bit more about how it came to be.
Ultimately, what Hood to the Holler is trying to do, what I want to do with that work and just beyond, is help everyone I meet know that their story is powerful, that the pain they've experienced can be used as a fuel to change things, a fuel to love harder, a fuel to be a force for good. And a lot of what we ultimately have to do are the little things all throughout the day. Like I said, holding space like this means something. This is not just a meeting. It's not just a conversation. It means something. And then to take that into engaging the democratic process, engaging corporate leaders, engaging the faith community abroad, engaging neighbors. That's why training and helping and supporting people who are organizing, and a lot of campaigns, political folks use the term organizing. You're essentially building community. If you're actually doing the work, you're building community. You're not just asking for a vote. That is not building community. That is transactional. You're building relationships and you're strengthening bonds. And if we do that type of work to come out of our corners and see one another as human beings, and then work on the issues we have in common, which we have much more in common than anything that could divide us, and then we translate that into policies, and we translate that into in our business and in our organizations, then we can realize that state of peace. I think to your question of trauma and how we tend to it, again, if you are doing that work, you're going to find yourselves ultimately in the spaces where laws are made, where policies are made, and it can inform the types of policies you support. It can inform the type of people you vote for. And so all of this stuff is connected. And so for me to say healthcare is a human right, it comes from this value place of understanding that mental health affects how people learn, how they are able to be gainful citizens, how they're able to raise a family. All of these things are connected. And that's where I think issue-based organizing is so important. And storytelling through that as a way to bring people in is really important because it gives us more muscle to advocate for changes. One of the ways that I talk about healthcare and why I believe everyone should have high quality healthcare, regardless of how much money they have, is through telling my own story. I actually posted about it yesterday. As I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I've had times where my medication was so expensive that we had to walk out of Walgreens. My mom and I had to walk out because she didn't have enough money to keep me alive. And just remembering that trauma, because even to this day, I got my prescription yesterday for my pods. I have the pod and the sensor. And every time I'm in the pharmacy or in the drive-thru, I have a lot of anxiety Now I know I have enough to cover it now, but I'm still afraid of, well, what if my card declines? Or what am I going to do if I leave out of here and I can't get this? And I allow that to inform how I advocate. And so I think if we can do more storytelling about the humanity of when gun violence happens and when we are experiencing trauma, we can humanize trauma, and not just for political expediency, because when there's a school shooting, the person who perpetrated it a lot of times will get humanized. The media will humanize the person, and it's an important thing to do, to understand what actually was happening, so we can be more responsive and more loving and address those harms. But a lot of times they're just doing it to create a narrative that some people are humans and some people aren't. So if we don't do it for political expediency and actually humanize and put a face behind trauma, we can help more people see their connection to it. And then over time, we can change things. So.
I'm wondering where you find hope. Who and what are your guiding lights? And what opportunities do you see for us in these very challenging times?
Oh, well, what a question. That's a way to bring it up. I'm thankful that I get to answer this question now. I have been going through therapy for the last year and really just talking through life, forgiving myself, reckoning with pains that I had as a child that I didn't realize were manifesting in me as an adult, and just understanding my feelings and accepting the grief and the shame and the sense of failure that I may experience, and being okay. And one of the things that I get hope from are the lessons I learned.
If this conversation has been meaningful for you, and you'd like to contribute, some of you already have, and if you haven't and would like to, you are invited to do that through DGCEC's website. It's DrepungGomangUSA.org, so that more things like this can happen. And I think it feels right to just say again, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you to Anne, the visionary of 12 Days.